Welcome to video 5 of your webinar blueprint. I'm your webinar blueprint guide, Jeff Winberg. In the last video, we looked at how to effectively sell on your webinar. In this video, we're going to talk about how to market your webinar so people register and attend. So let's get into it. Before I share some killer marketing tactics, you should know that marketing is built into the Webinar Ninja platform. Every webinar that's created with Webinar Ninja has the option to be public or private. If you choose to make it public, you automatically get exposure to literally over millions of webinar attendees. How? Through the Webinar Finder. The Webinar Finder is the world's most powerful webinar search engine. Your webinar is easily found by category or keyword for attendees to register for your webinar with one click. The Webinar Finder is also optimized so your webinar is found easily via Google and other search engines when people search for your webinar's title keywords. So right off the bat, Webinar Ninja has your back for getting you more attendees just by being a member. Now, before we talk marketing, we need to understand some numbers. Let's begin with talking about attendee numbers. You need to understand this number so you know what's considered a good attendance rate. So here are some industry averages. The industry average for the number of attendees on a webinar is actually less than you think. It's 35 attendees. Yes, big names with large audiences have webinars with 200, 300, 500 attendees, but that's not typical. If you can get 35 attendees for your first webinar, you should be proud of yourself. That's impressive for your first go. We recommend you focus your efforts on your attendance rate as you're getting started. Your registration rate is really important, but getting people to attend is what really counts at this point. You use the number of people that registered for your webinar versus the number of people that attended to figure out the attendance rate. And this is a very important piece of data, and Webinar Ninja automatically keeps track of this and shares it with you. So let's look at an example. If I create a webinar and share it with my audience and get 80 registrants and 60 of them show up for the live webinar, that's an amazing attendance rate at 75%. But if I create a webinar and get 180 registrants but 60 attendees show up at the live webinar, that's a 33% attendance rate. Not bad, but you're converting better with the first webinar. So knowing this number lets you assess how successful your webinar is. Now, there are a few other factors that come into play with attendance rates. Number one, audience targeting. The better you target your ideal customers, the better your results. Number two, your registration page. Was the registration process easy enough for people to quickly sign up for your webinar with no roadblocks? And number three, emails. Did the emails sent out to your registrants, which happens automatically with Webinar Ninja, by the way, did they have all the details they need and help build anticipation for your webinar? When you're looking to improve webinar attendance rates, these are great places to start. Now, how do we market our webinars? Number one, start at home. Take advantage of traffic you already have and market your webinar on your website homepage. Make sure visitors can see you have a webinar going on as soon as they visit your site, and you can link to your Webinar Ninja registration page on your site. Number two, invite your existing audience. Email your existing email subscribers and invite them to your webinar. Let them know you have something special planned. These are your most loyal leads, so let them know what you're doing. Number three, team up and invite a similar audience. Find someone in your industry you can team up with and share each other's audiences. Ask them to co-host a webinar with you. With Webinar Ninja, you can have up to 10 co-hosts, so this allows you to get in front of an already existing, interested audience that's maybe larger than your own. If you're selling a product on the webinar, you may want to offer splitting the revenue made on the webinar with the co-host. Number four, write about it. Write a blog post about the topic of your webinar and include a link to the webinar registration page at the end of the post. You can do the same with guest posting or writing on another business's blog. If the post and webinar is valuable, it's a win-win for you and the other blog owner. Number five, get social. Spread the word about your webinar on your social media platforms. Don't just announce it and expect people to magically attend. Let them know what's in it for them, what they'll learn, and what problem you'll be solving. Number six, incentivize attendance. Give them a compelling reason to attend your webinar. Throw in a freebie to everyone who attends. Make it valuable and useful. And number seven, last but not least, is paid traffic. If you have a budget for it, you may want to try out Facebook ads. It's a more advanced strategy that we don't recommend until you've mastered the previous methods. If you're ready, you can spend $30 to $40 a day for 3 days and see what happens. However, you do need to have your audience targeting dialed in as well as your compelling offer. Facebook ads are not a straightforward thing. You need to test and tweak, but they have been proven to be very effective with webinars. We're working on including a Facebook ads course inside the Webinar Ninja members area. With whatever methods you decide to work on, the thing to remember is marketing is a continuous thing. You can't do it once and never do it again. Just like with your webinar, keep doing webinars and keep on marketing. So let's recap what you need to do at this point. Number 1, draft an email you'll send to your existing audience about your first webinar, even if you only have an email list of 100 people. Number 2, create a social media post about your webinar that tells people what they'll get out of attending, and make this very compelling. In the next video, I'm going to share with you how to set up and run your webinar with Webinar Ninja. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care.